Hello and welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Arsenal stay top of the table for another week after an impressive win over Tottenham in the North London derby. Manchester City dismantle Manchester United in the Manchester derby, winning 6-3 behind hat-tricks from Haaland and Foden. Liverpool drop points late in a 3-3 draw with Brighton. Conor Gallagher comes on to score the winner against his former team as Chelsea beat Crystal Palace 2-1. And we'll round up the other games in the Premier League for this weekend. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
That's right, Mustoe, and with the Premier League being back, Premier League Mornings Live is headed to Philadelphia. And we've partnered with Sports Engine to give your family a VIP experience on October the 15th and 16th. Enter now for a chance to win VIP tickets with airfare and hotel included. All you've got to do is share a photo or video of your child's team or their soccer skills to Instagram using hashtag MyPLMorning, hashtag MyPLMorning sweepstakes, and tag and follow at NBC Sports Engine and at NBC Sports Soccer. Pack your bags fast because the winner's going to be announced on October the 10th. Terms and conditions may apply. What a great weekend that's going to be for one lucky family. And what a great weekend it was for Arsenal Football Club and Miguel Arteta in the North London derby, Rob. A game, I think, much anticipated by many people. First playing third. Both teams in good form. Both teams started the season as well as I think fans would have expected. Biggest takeaway from the game?
I think before we get to that, I think the contrast of styles was what we went into the weekend thinking, Rob. Like, we've got a proactive manager in Arteta that wants to get on the ball. He wants to make things happen to score goals to win games, where Antonio Conte is different. He'd rather sit back and pounce on errors and mistakes and transition and counter-attacking footballs the way that they want to go. Going back to your question, football won. Proactive football won the day. And, maybe, Arteta's had more time at Arsenal. Yeah. So their way of playing, their philosophy, over the last couple of seasons, he's pushed out players he didn't want at the football club, made some big decisions. But he's got a young team that's hungry, that's on the same page tactically. Yeah. They play some lovely football, and that all panned out. Thomas Partey, Rob, I know you talked about him a lot before the game, was an important player to be fit because we didn't know whether he was going to be fit. He scores the first goal after something like 20 minutes. And Arsenal's football, Rob, continues to be impressive. Yeah. And I remember the last game, who was it they beat? They beat Brentford away 3-0. I remember saying on our set, that was a pretty perfect performance. Well, I think the Gabriel foul for the Spurs penalty was an error. Other than that, it was kind of perfect as well.
Well, Spurs did have a few looks. Just before we go into a bit more detail in that, again, you think about the game last night, think about the two teams, think about the way it played. Obviously, we have to mention the red card. Yeah.
Let's quickly mention that. We both agreement?
We both thought it was yellow. I know, and people can look and say, well, it was high, endangered maybe the safety of opponent. I don't think there was that much force in it, Rob. I think it's a kind of foul in a derby that I think if you give a yellow in a conversation too, I think, nobody's saying you made a bad decision. But listen, it was given. Spurs went down to 10. What I would say from Arsenal's point of view, their football then really started to show. It did start to punish Spurs with the possession and the way they play. Just want to say on a slightly bigger picture, and you talked about the contrast, and that was the big story of the game. Arsenal getting on the ball because they played well against Manchester United and lost. Yeah. And people said, well, against Big Six teams, is this going to happen? In your view, if you're a coach, which is the harder style of play to manage, to input in your team? Is it the bravery of Arsenal who get on the ball, and because of that, Rob, you're more likely to sometimes turn over, make mistakes, and have transitions, or is it harder to be a Spurs who have to be disciplined, who have to stay in a shape, who can't come out of positions, maybe don't get as much joy in your football, but you're winning games? I think that's an interesting one in terms of styles and managers and which players would prefer to play and what's better.
Well, so I think players would prefer to play the proactive, how are we going to break down the opponents? To your first question, I think it's harder to coach that way. I think it's easier to set a team up, this is our shape, whatever it is, 5-3-2, 4-4-2, whatever it is. You make sure you're there. We can do tons of shadow play against an 11, the kids of the youth team or something, and you can get really, really kind of drilled pretty quickly on a shape. And then, of course, you work on when we turn over, you make a run, you stay high, whatever that might be. I think that's easier, Rob, than being a coach of a team where it's like, okay, right, we got different defences every week to try and figure out. We're going to be expansive. We're going to have to take risks. We're going to try and play out from the back. We're going to have fullbacks play really, really high. We're going to have movements in midfield. It's got
There's
to be harder.
There's a lot more that can go wrong in that system, isn't there?
There is. And the way that you do your thing can change.
Yeah.
Now, Pep is an example at Man City. They've got 2 or 3 different game plans that they can all go to now.
Yeah.
Depending on how the opponents, and I saw Pep say this, we change only a little bit depending on how opponents defend and how they attack. Yeah. So that takes time to be that groove. But in a long-winded answer, isn't it got to be harder to design attacking themes, to design ideas of, okay, we're going to try and get turned there. We're going to try and find a way to get in behind defenders there. We're going to, we're going to work on overlapping fullbacks. I think there's a whole lot more creativity, not just from the players, but from the coach in terms of how that.
I would totally agree, and that's why I wanted to say that I think extra credit has to go to Mikel Arteta, because in every game this season, you can see what they're trying to do. They've generally won, obviously, more games than with the one defeat. We've seen a grooved style of football and a personality to Arsenal that we haven't seen probably since the Wenger days. It's very early on, and I know people will get carried away. Thomas Frank last week after Brentford game said Arsenal are title contenders. I thought that was a little premature. I still do. And I know you believe that there's a possibility that they can stay there. They're going to have bumps on the road. They're going to have disappointments. How they get over them are going to be interesting. But from the game itself, Rob, as you say, they got off to start, dominated early possession, pushed Spurs back. Spurs were almost happy to sit back.
Very passive, Rob. Very passive.
And we talked about on air at times when you sit back in that sort of passive mode.
Deep block.
These are false security sometimes, aren't they? We're behind the ball. We're okay. And when Arsenal worked it in, Thomas Partey got the ball, we did a breakdown, and he probably had like 10 yards of space around him, which you can't leave any player of that quality on the edge of the box who's going to score your goal.
Yeah, and also I think for the second goal, Bukayo Saka found some space.
Yeah, coming back inside,
able to sort of shoot. It's like a shot cross, was it? That
Lloris couldn't handle.
Nightmare with. And then, kind of tying in the midfield and Granit Xhaka's goal, that is on the back of what we've just been talking about. His position now is actually the left side of a diamond for Arsenal when they build up and when they. So that's when people say he's getting forward a lot more. Well, he is, because the way they play now, that's what's in it. Yeah. And you've seen him crossing balls for headed goals. Jesus,
Jesus is beautiful. Yeah, he plays him in.
And then this one, he gets himself in a good spot where he finishes off really nicely. So from Arsenal's point of view, really, really great. And I think, like the point you made at the beginning, Rob, about the Man United game was the first test.
Yeah.
They lost. This was a second test. I just thought it was really important for them and where they're at right now. They win the game. They get the positivity, the belief from the fans, but also themselves that, hang on a minute, we've just beaten Spurs pretty handily there. We played well against Man United and lost. And the rest of it's been pretty good. Listen, we'll talk about Man City, if you're Mikel Arteta, you've got to be saying to these players, we can go on, we can get close here. Yeah. Because if anything happens in the World Cup, Rebecca mentioned it today, Rob, on our show, who knows what's going to happen at the World Cup? Who's going to be injured and what players' state of minds? Yeah. I know Haaland's not going to the World Cup, but if there's an injury to him at some point, Rob, and City then drop off, Arsenal got to be there. They've got to be absolutely right there, whatever point in the season, to try and win this Premier League title. They've come so far in a couple of seasons with smart coaching, smart recruitment, big decisions. It continued to me, and we both know millions of Arsenal fans. Yeah, they've got to be so blimmin' happy that finally they've got a team they can be proud of that played lovely football.
I think you're right in that one. And Arsenal fans, whether you're in the UK or here in the US, you see these are Graham Lasso made, I thought, a really important point. He says there's a different feel about the Emirates when you go to the football club now, and that's important. That it's almost like this team are growing with them, understanding that there might be a few disappointing days. I'll tell you one thing again. I've tried to sort of go onto some UK, US radio shows and just get a temperature of what fans are talking about and what's out there, and I've kind of got an interesting debate where an Arsenal fan came and said, back in the day, maybe even the Emery and people like that, it was a bit like, we haven't got a leader, we haven't got a captain, you know. And I think people tend to go back to the Tony Adams days, the John Terry days, where there's one big guy. And I remember looking on social media yesterday, Rob, and you did a breakdown during the first half where after the party goal, Granit Xhaka got everybody together. There was a shot of Gabriel Jesus after the game getting everybody together. I've seen Martin Odegaard a couple of times getting. These aren't big physical shaking the fist, you do this job. It's like players in the dressing room feeling they have an important role and they're sort of giving their opinion and alley. It's like there's a collective group of captains at that football club. And I think that's important for Arteta in this group because nobody seems bigger, better than anybody else. Aubameyang was a bit different and it didn't quite fit and they've got rid of him and they're a better outfit for that now.
Don't you think that we're seeing leaders develop in this Arsenal team?
Yeah.
That they're all young. I mean, it's such a young team.
Yeah, apart from Xhaka
winning,
and Partey.
and with that feeling of like this something special's happening, I think leaders emerge. And I think Granit Xhaka has got that in him.
Yeah.
You know, he's that type.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's seen Odegaard, you know, come forward as a leader.
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus. He's won a lot before. He's still a young player. But he's at Arsenal. You know what? He can be a leader. So I think with the confidence that gains from this run and the way they're playing, I think you're going to see leaders emerge.
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot his name. William Saliba, the new defender.
Defender,
I mean, he looks like, again, is he going to emerge into a leader? Why not? Why can't? Right now, I'm sure he's like, I'm back at Arsenal. I'm playing. It's going
Just
great.
happy,
But he is absolutely another one that will, I think, emerge as a leader. So sometimes you can't sign all these leaders. They kind of happen. And I think over the period of time, Rob, I think both me and you have been captains. But that wasn't so, you kind of grow into that role. I don't know.
With experience, with natural, wins, and then people look at you differently, expect more from you, and you put more pressure on yourself. You're right. From Spurs' point of view, Rob, obviously disappointing to lose the North London derby. What will be Antonio Conte's biggest regret? I heard somebody yesterday say his biggest regret should be that he didn't go to win the game. He went there to not get beat.
Well, that's him, isn't it? It's a style, isn't it?
But I don't think, and this is just my personal I don't think he's got a secure enough back three to be able to play this role. I think the other parts of the team, and Bentancur and Højbjerg are not the world's best, but I think with a proper back three behind them, and then what they've got up front, I think they could get away with the midfield. But I'm not sure that back three are secure enough. And
to trust them, defend. With a lot of pressure on them.
With against big games when it's coming from all kind of angles to keep a clean sheet or stop people getting a look at our goal.
The other side of that angle then, right? If you believe that, if we sit back and be strong as a shape, if you don't believe in that, then if they're going to be expansive, isn't that going to be more porous?
No, I'm not saying being expansive. I'm saying to play that style, I think you've got to have better versions of what he's got at the back.
So he's got to go back in the market?
Well, I think so. Only because Longley's come in and been still can't quite work him out, Rob. I haven't seen enough games. I'm probably going to just watch a game and watch him from there. Romero is not quite developed as I thought.
I like him, though. I like him.
Eric Dyer has had better form, but again, he's one of them that I'm not 100% sure. In the past, Conte's had the kind of centre-backs who put their body on the line, who are leaders, who get tired, who are not going to allow people to get on. Juve and
backs there.
Chelsea, John Terry's and people and Kay Hills and people like that. These players at the moment aren't. Now, again, you talk about development, they could grow into that. But I just feel at the moment the style they play, it's going to be difficult for them to be really successful against the top teams.
And then when you've got Richarlison, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son and Kulusevski, these star players that are so starved at the ball because they're asked to defend a lot of the time. I mean, it's the same argument with them, isn't it? It's the way he does it.
Yeah.
And he's still, he's
they've got lots of goals, haven't they?
They're right there.
The goals are good.
They're third place in the league table.
Yeah, 19 goals.
With a lot of potential for improvement. Still, I don't think he's still sure of his back five, of his wing backs.
Royal and Perisic. And Perisic, you talk like, is he going to try and get Basuma in the team at some point? Maybe his energy and athleticism and ability to play. Could he just give him something else? Maybe go two up front. We'll see. We'll see. But great day for Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta won the North London derby. Let's move it to today, my friend. And a big Manchester derby. I mean, we were spoilt with football and drama and highlights today. Let's start our conversation as we started the day. Team sheets came out.
Oh, right.
Team sheets came out.
Yep.
We looked at City. Little surprised Rodri wasn't playing, but we heard he got knocked in
Yep.
training. Gundogan played in there. Akanji and Ake as two centre-back pairing. John Stones wasn't available. Laporte and Diaz.
Diaz on the bench. I mean,
Laporte's
been injured.
Yeah,
Diaz,
Diaz on the bench.
Maybe he's got something. But
Yeah, a
surprise,
little bit of a head
surprise.
scratch, but whatever. Everything else pretty much as you would think. KDB, Silva, Foden, Grealish in the team, Haaland up front. Kind of what you would expect from City, and we kind of knew what kind of game it was going to be from them.
Yep.
United, very different, my friend. In same team that played against Arsenal, same 11, same setup. Thoughts about Casemiro coming in the team? Obviously not. He's gone with Eriksen and McTominay holding. Bruno in front, Sancho one side, Anthony the other, Marcus Rashford up front, September player of the month. Big call for the manager. And I talked about the trust and the belief that he must have and he must have seen, and it must be, the dressing room. We did both talk, and it's not talking after the event, about feeling that Casemiro is maybe his kind of day with what they need, and could they find a way to keep Eriksen in the team? Is this more a manager's mistrust, or did he not read how good Manchester City are?
I think there's two parts here. Was he naive thinking that this team with these individuals, Anthony and Bruno and Eriksen and Sancho?
Well, that's mistrust,
and
isn't it? That's believing they can do that, and actually they couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, is there a day? Okay,
Yeah.
Was there a day, or could there be a day that
Yeah.
they go there with that team and their football's spot on and they beat City? Because I don't know whether there is a day like that. Today was bad for them. They give the ball away a lot. We focused on that in our chats and stuff.
Yeah.
They give the ball away a lot, which
Correct.
of course you can't afford to do.
Yeah.
We were surprised, Rob, because it's such a attack-minded, not physically or Anthony, Eriksen, Sancho, Bruno Fernandes away from Man City. My goodness, you've got to work without the ball. Then you got to work without the ball because City is so good on it. The other thing I thought, Rob, on this, is, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but maybe Erik ten Hag's thinking, I'm not gonna mess around changing my team for anybody. We're building something here. Yeah. We've won the last 4 games. I like what Anthony's done. Do I have to leave him out and bring in Casemiro and change things around, or bring Fred in or whatever? Do I really want to do that? No. Or do I want to give trust to my players? And you know what? We might get a spanking. We might take one, which I did. But it ain't going to derail what we've done up to this point, and we're going to jump back in the saddle for the European game, and then Everton next weekend, and they'll go back to maybe the form that they showed. Can he disregard it that quick? Maybe he can.
Really good point. What I would say, Rob, in answer to that is, and I don't know the answer, but if that is the case, and it's very possible, he's that kind of manager. Pep would do the same in his way. Maybe in Ajax he's done the same in that. He's going to change. Not going to change. If you're one of those players, Rob, how has today affected you? Because we saw shots at the end where Bruno Fernandes is starting to argue with the referee and his teammates, and Martinez is looking like, and people are looking down again. And I hear what you're saying, but that could have taken... Marcus Rashford went back to the Marcus Rashford we saw in the first 2 games. So was that... Is that being...
I don't think it's damaging. You're asking if it's been... I don't think it's damaging for those players. I think they learnt a lesson, that they were trusted to play today.
Yeah.
And, wow, okay, we've
got
to be better.
So what do you do at... Let's just say, what do you do at Everton? Same again. Yeah. So Casemiro and Ronaldo and stay on the bench.
Given his philosophy, I mean, I think you're going to suggest that maybe it's time for changes.
But a couple of changes it might be. If he wants to do it, he's got now the opportunity to do it.
I think he sticks with the same team. I think he'll give him some more weeks. Yeah. If there's some more setbacks, then, then maybe we should play an extra man in midfield. Maybe we can't have all those.
Against the general Premier League team, he goes with what he thinks, but the Manchester Cities of the world are unique. Maybe he has to rethink that one, or not be over worried about that result,
right?
Because that isn't the result that's most important to him.
Because they're not level yet.
30.
I don't want to change things, mess things around just for one game.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get results against Everton away and then Newcastle at home, they're the next 2 games.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get results, then now maybe I've got to do a little change, and then he'll stick with that for a little bit.
Well, he actually came out, Rob, and said, and it was interesting, and I'll paraphrase him, but he didn't want to put Ronaldo on at 4-0 down because it would have affected is, the career of a great player.
There's a talking point. We've got to talk about this.
I mean, and he also said about, was it Casemiro, that he's come into the team, we've been winning, so he's almost got to wait for the natural time to come back into the team.
Now, listen, I would have done it differently. I'm just saying that. My last couple of minutes just sort of saying, well, maybe this is philosophy.
Yeah.
I would have played Casemiro. You pay $84 million for a player like that. I think you've got to play him. I think you do have to make changes and adjustments for this sort of game. Yeah. It doesn't look like he's going to be a tinkerer. He's going to be not. He's not going to be a tinker man. Ronaldo, 4-0 down. One of the best forwards ever. He's sat on your bench. The director of the match is going to him many times. What? Play him. Explain to me what the manager means by I respect his career. I'm not going to bring him on.
He didn't want him to be part of a team and a performance that could have ended up 6 or 7 and him in the team.
They got 3 goals. What if they?
Martial come off the bench and got 2.
Fair play, Martial came on and did well, but he still could have brought Ronaldo in there.
Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just delivering the message.
How was that gonna pan out? By the way, Ronaldo. How was that going to pan out now? Is he going to sit on the bench? What's the point?
But you're saying, or the indication is that if he's going to go with what he's going, Casemiro and Ronaldo, they're going to sit there for a little while.
Well, again, this isn't what I would do.
No,
this is what I think
I'm
might
saying
happen.
You think he might do.
I mean, is Ronaldo? How long is he going to be happy?
That's why Casemiro doesn't come from Real Madrid, who didn't want to sell him, who's playing with Kroos and Modric and winning all kind of trophies to say, I'll let McTominay play.
You know what? Maybe it's more embarrassing for Ronaldo. He'll probably play in Cyprus for their Europa League. Is he going to be the Europa League guy, Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, it's obviously a setback. The back four, listen, I'm not going to knee-jerk this up. The back four is better now. He's made a difference to that. Eriksen in midfield generally is good. Against Man City, not so sure. Anthony scores a lovely goal, by the way. And he's learning. He's getting used to the football. Jadon Sancho, Robbie
was poor.
You didn't like his performance, did you?
I didn't like it at all. I thought he didn't show much heart. I thought he lacked a bit of drive, couldn't affect the game with his ability, didn't affect the game with his energy, didn't affect the game with his athleticism. He's a former City kid, come through the academy. Marcus Rashford didn't get a lot of service, didn't help, but didn't really see anything of him at all. So just a few issues, a few questions for Ten Hag to think about over the next few days. You say they've got the Europa League coming up on Thursday, which is a bit of a distraction, but he can get some minutes under some players. Then we get back to Premier League action, Rob, and he's got to get things right. I just
don't think, for some reason, compared to other times they've been hit for 6 or whatever, I just don't think this one, strangely, is as damaging.
Because of the manager and the way he's going about.
Because there was some forward steps, and he was naive today to think that this team could compete with City with that lineup.
Maybe he didn't.
But I don't think it's going to change his mind about too much about his starting lineup. Again,
maybe he didn't realise the unique test that is Man City. Let's talk a little bit about City.
Somebody who is unique.
The big guy. I mean, him, freak. I mean, 3 hat-tricks now in 3 successive Premier League home games, 9 goals. That's as many as United have got all season, isn't it? 9 goals, if I'm correct. No, obviously they've got 14 on the year, but 14 in all.
17 goals in 11 in all comps.
14 Premier League goals, must be. 14 Premier League. That's as many as Manchester United, isn't it? Or more than Manchester United.
It's a ton.
11.
Yeah, it's a load of goals. I mean, we are looking at, right, and it's not yet. We're looking at potentially the best scorer,
goal scorer,
certainly the Premier League has ever seen. Now, I get before people go crazy.
Yeah, he's got to keep the rate up. He's got to keep the
rate up and everything else. But I'm saying potentially.
Yeah, he's 22 years of age, by the way.
We've never seen numbers like this.
No.
We're going to track.
We've had great strikers in Shearer, Henry, Wright.
Brilliant players we've had.
Owen, all
in different types.
Yeah,
and this guy is different. Yeah. But the sheer numbers, given the strength of Man City, given the players around him to create and to pass. I mean, De Bruyne, the cross for his goal again in this one. When do we start talking like that, Rob? I mean, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go?
We have to start now because we have to appreciate him now, Rob. We sometimes in football we don't like to appreciate what's here now and talk about current and say he's a great. we like to do that of past players, and you know, I'm talking about the Shearers and that.
And longevity, there's longevity is required.
But based on what we've seen from 8 games, Rob,
he's an absolute beast.
Incredible. It's incredible. I mean,
of all different types of goals. I mean, every type of goal, Rob.
Let me tell you, and I think we made this a similar point. We saw him, he got knocked to the floor in a build-up. He got up, he half-paced, that he was running quicker than everybody else. His hunger to get goals is more insatiable than Mo Salah, who's one of the biggest recent goal-scoring forward threats I've known. This guy's there was once in the first half, Rob, and it's just little things you pick up as, you know, with body language. Jack Grealish went through, did a dummy, and tried to poke it to Haaland to get Haaland a shot. And it got cut out. And Haaland was like going mad. Not necessarily at Jack, but almost with himself, like, that's another chance gone. That was another. It's like, it's incredible, his drive and his physicality to keep getting in the same place and keep putting the ball in the net.
And his technique. The goal where he swept it in with his left foot. Was that
one touch finish, the second goal.
I mean, the power from the corner. Goal. And then I mean, it's his technique, it's his speed, it's his physicality, it's his mentality. We saw Tyrone Mings trying to grab it. I'm trying to figure out something that, with being faced within the Premier League, that he isn't to overcome. Set pieces, yes. Free kicks, yes. Penalties, yes. Tap-ins, yes. Shots from outside the box, yes. Crossed balls, attacks it with his feet or with his head. And his pace. I mean, that moment, I was like, what is going on here? I mean, he got up, he looked like he was jogging,
and he
ran past everybody to get into the box. And you say you look at things, you know, you find something in him. I looked at him afterwards in his interview, and you look into his eyes, and there was talking about, you know, he stood there with Phil Foden, and just we're in a good spot. I'm pleased right now. He is so hungry to achieve, and we got the sense of that around interviews before joining City, after joining City. We know it's his dream to win the Champions League. He is straight ahead, mentality-wise, everything that you want from a player. And by the way, we've never spoke this crazy hyperbolic about anybody. So this isn't something that we do lightly. This is something special.
We in fact, probably go the other way. And you know, let's calm down. He's tell you a couple of things, and I read stories. And again, just backstories, but almost tells you about the man. Today, when he was on the pitch and the cameras went to him, he passed the ball to Foden as if like, go on, you have this match ball. I've got some, and I'm going to get more. It was like, you have this. And then this talk that, Rob, he often goes and sits in the academy dressing room, talks with the players and, you know, motivates them. And he's like, he's 22 years of age, so he's probably more in touch with them than he is maybe some of the older players.
And humble.
Yeah, just
humble.
Yeah.
It's like we've noticed now that after games, when he scores a hat-trick almost every game, the camera, there's always a guy with his what do you call him? The guy with the mobile...
like the remote camera that follows
the remote camera follows him around. Yeah. He always shoos him away. Get away. He doesn't want it to be about him. And that's what it must feel like. I never had a camera follow me coming off a pitch. But it's like, here's the star player. Let's look at him. He never wants that. So he's humble, big heart, desire, quick. I mean... And assists. He's got a big number of assists.
Got a couple of assists. And today, I just want to. Well, there's two people I want to mention. Phil Foden, by the way.
Yep.
Comes from a different place. Come through the academy, Rob. We talked about him before the game. 22 years of age, has become a really important part of Manchester City's first team now. When we talk about City's best team, Phil Foden's in it. Affects the game. Goal threat, goal scoring, assists. English born, and could go on to have a glowing career.
Yep.
So Phil Foden deserves a little bit of credit. My underappreciated player of the week, Robbie Mustoe.
Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland, we've just loved.
Plenty of appreciation for him.
Phil Foden, we love. Kevin De Bruyne, we love. Manuel Akanji.
Oh.
We are starting to love. Bought on the transfer deadline, $90 million from Borussia Dortmund. I heard Pep say he played against us in Champions League and he hurt us with his passing.
Distribution.
And because of that, he's somebody who's always on the radar. We had a chance to take him for $19 million. Sneaky good business.
$19 million.
$19 million, Rob. Today, if Laporte or Diaz have got a knock or not quite ready, sit yourself down. The big guy will go on. By the way, Rashford didn't have a great day, hooked him in, came out with the ball a couple of times, Rob.
Really well.
Had a hand in the first goal from Foden where he gets into midfield, stops it, plays it out. looks composed, looks athletic, it's a good age, looks reliable. A great one in the mix, Rob, for a club that's going to be chasing on forefront, lots of games, World Cup coming up, don't quite know where we are. You can't have too many good, solid centre-halves.
And they need special centre-backs. And maybe it's an area where in the past they've conceded goals where they shouldn't have. I always think Pep needs a heroic centre-back.
Who's going to dive in.
The Bayern Munich centre-backs.
He's had the Vincent Kompanies and all that.
So another one. Great shout. And like you, it's like today watching, it's like, this guy, there's been a couple of, I think it's 3 games now.
3 games on the bounce, it's 4 games. It's his fourth straight game now.
Well done, Man City.
Brilliant, Man City. Let's talk about a team that's not quite going to plan, Liverpool. 3-3 with Brighton. Pretty much outplayed for most of the first half. Got back into the game 2-1, having been 2-0 down. End up winning, getting to a point where they're winning the game 3-2 courtesy of an own goal. Give up a late goal through Trossard. Roberto deserved a lot of credit for coming in and
keeping it rolling,
keeping things ticking along nicely. Lovely line from him I'll mention a little bit. But let's talk about Liverpool, Rob, because this is a different Liverpool than we've seen for pretty much the entire Klopp reign. Something doesn't quite feel right.
Listen, Liverpool were on the path for a quadruple last year.
Yeah,
they were incredible. And Pip got pipped by Man City for 1 point. The drop off to this point now, and again, 7 or 8 games in for Liverpool. I think they've played 8 games now. Long way to go, but night and day, isn't it? It's night and day. And you know, I think we've always listened to Jurgen Klopp very closely about when he speaks, and for him to say, "Wow, we were all over the place." You know, players not knowing whether to press, whether to drop back. That gives opponents plenty of time to get turned, to play the ball in behind. We've mentioned many times, Rob, about this high line, and I mentioned last year, and people came back to me on social media, well, you know, it's all planned, and they're still doing great, which they were, but there were so many times where they looked like they were vulnerable. That's all come to roost a little bit this time. We know that Trent Alexander-Arnold, Rob's been under extra scrutiny because of Gareth Southgate not really involving him in England. His place in the World Cup squad is somewhat in question.
Didn't have a great game either, I have to say, against Brighton
and
either.
Van Dijk that has been the rock, really, over recent seasons. Apart from the season that he was out injured, the Pickford challenge on him really early, and at this point in the season. Does he have to take more responsibility?
Yeah.
Does he have to stand up and puff his chest out and start leading by his actions on the field?
Yeah. And it's hard to criticise, Rob, a player who's been imperious since he's gone into the football club, has been the Rolls Royce, has been the difference for Liverpool, and many said he was the most important signing. Get all that. Right now, he's nowhere near that level. He needs to get back to basics, to defending, to leading, to getting tight to people, to putting his foot in, to stop looking like it's all about how I look and how I...
Everything's under control.
It's not under control. And Trent's getting a lot of stick, and some of it maybe is warranted. Others, some people I think, are going a little bit over the top. He's a wonderful footballer who's having a bad time at 22 years of age, if that happens. But Virgil van Dijk, Rob, right now, should be getting hold of this back line and becoming a leader and pushing us up. And if we're too high, and bringing us back and talking to this point and getting his fullbacks ready and all that. And the longer that this goes on, the more Liverpool are going to continue to have problems.
Alarm bells are ringing. You know what I thought was interesting a few weeks ago, maybe even longer than that? James Milner. Some of his body language. Remember him going up to Van Dijk?
He went to Van Dijk because he didn't close a shot down against Fulham.
Right.
It's the first day of the season.
Right. Was it? It's almost like Milner's sensing this. Like we ain't right. We're not right here.
I've seen the little things in training.
Never seen him so angry
but sometimes those things a little bit in training.
Well, maybe he's noticed
just not quite at it, just not quite putting it in. We're a yard short where we used to be. It's a good shout because you get the sense. And the problem for James Milner is now his physicality is dropping, so he can't quite affect things as he would love to by his actions. But he's certainly vocally and, like you say, maybe seen things that he doesn't like. Let's also let me throw another one at you. Mo Salah, Robbie Mustoe, is not the Mo Salah we've seen over the last few years. Now strikers go through patches and a bit hot and a bit cold, and people will talk about the big contract. And I'm not in any way saying it's just a contract, but Mo Salah is not the Mo Salah we've seen over these years. Trent Alexander-Arnold is getting some stick. Virgil van Dijk is probably just
way down.
Mo Salah is way down. Jordan Henderson and Thiago have had injury problems, but not having the effect on the football club that they were. You start to name 5 or 6 of that level players, and Mo Salah is one of them, Rob.
Yeah.
We're not getting anywhere near.
Well, that's too many players, isn't it? There's too many players that aren't finding form. I mean, he's got other options up front now. We've seen that. Now, this is a bigger challenge as he's had. He said that this was like Liverpool when I first took over. Wow, with their performance and.
Confidence, Rob, I heard there was an interview yesterday with Alisson Becker. He said confidence is really low. We've got to pick it up, and Klopp sort of hinted at as well. That surprises me a little bit.
It surprises me a little bit as well. Is the answer, Rob, as we finish up on Liverpool a little bit? Is it that they try and do what they're trying to do better, or do they have to reevaluate a little bit? Remember after the Napoli game, we talked about it. We said, and I think. One of the players, I think the manager, it's time for a rethink.
Yeah.
Because that's not okay.
Yeah, you said,
So it's time for a rethink.
And
I think we talked about it.
And then they've got to win at the weekend.
They've got to win on something like that's better.
Yeah.
They've jumped right back into that rut.
Rethink.
And that disappointing performance level. What are they going to do now? Rethink again?
The intensity is gone. That high energy intensity that used to be part of that game.
Can they play us high?
Yeah, I don't think they can.
Press,
I don't think they can.
Leaving all that green grass in behind them.
I don't think they can. And I wonder whether it's change of that. I don't know if it's a 4-2-3-1. Does that help? Does 3 at the back help? Maybe with Trent going on? Is it, I know that's not his way, and people tend to have a certain structure, but there's definitely some rethinking to do for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. I think their challenge is going to be to get to top 4 now, Rob, based on where they are.
Rebecca asked us about when they are at the title challenge, and we're like, nowhere near it.
Quick mention: Roberto De Zerbi came into the football club.
The Italian.
Was it Sassuolo, wasn't he?
Shakhtar
Donetsk, I think, left on mutual terms. Good. Looks like another good pickup for Brighton, Rob. Looks the mould. I heard him on the radio yesterday. Loved what he said in that he said, I'm privileged to take this group that Graham Potter's coached. I'm not going to change too much, but I'm going to bring some things that hopefully can make us better. I thought, what a great appreciation of what's been done, what he can do. And we hear he's a good coach. He wants possession. He wants attacking football. And already you see a relationship with the players. Brilliant performance, typical Brighton performance with goal threat, Leandro getting goals, Trossard getting goals. And I just thought, what a good day for him at Anfield.
And when Jurgen Klopp afterwards, Rob, says they did something a little different, took us a bit of time to get used to that. He talked about some kind of box in midfield. There was a 10 o'clock window.
Yeah.
So it was like, there's
stuff going on.
There's stuff for us to look at all over.
Yeah, you need to look again.
But I'll look at that. But that, that's clever, isn't it? Yeah, he loves possession. He's very much, that's great joined up thinking by Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club.
Owners,
The owners and the Dan Ashworth, is it? And some of the higher ups there to get the right person. I mean, what a start. What a start there to get that 3-3 at Anfield.
Let's get to Selhurst Park, my friend, because there was a really interesting game back here. Conor Gallagher, part of the Chelsea squad, going back to Selhurst Park, where he'd done so well on loan last season. A Crystal Palace team that was very attack-minded by
the lineup,
Patrick Vieira, who obviously feels that his team at home can force the opposition. Palace went 1-0 up. There was an incident in this game, Rob, that I think we slightly differed in how we saw it. It was a key decision in the game, and we're talking about a sort of foul and handball by Thiago Silva as Jordan Ayew's trying to run towards goal. The question is not was it a foul, but was it denial of a goal-scoring opportunity? I felt it was, because I didn't think that Chelsea defenders would get back or stop him getting a shot at goal. I think you felt they were closer, so we slightly disagreed on that. Chelsea got away with that. Thiago stayed on the pitch. He then assists the goal for Aubameyang, scores a lovely striker's goal. Conor Gallagher comes on and gets the winner. And Crystal Palace fans will feel badly aggrieved that he didn't go for them. And most of my Palace friends have said, if that was the other way, if that was Guy and Aubameyang going through, Guy would have got a red card. That's sometimes where Big Six teams get the benefit of refereeing decisions. Over to you, my friend.
I hear it and I get it, and this is another subjective call on this rule. And what the main parts of it is: how far is he away from goal? Because this has to be an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. How far away from goal? What angle you've got to come in at? And is there any covering defenders? And when I looked at it, first of all, I'm like, he's got a little bit of work to do there. He's got to turn, he's got to bring the ball back. He's got, I think it was Jorginho coming back. Not the quickest player, but probably would have put pressure on to mean it wasn't an obvious goal-scoring situation. That was my take when I looked at it a couple of times. VAR, I guess, thought the same as me, but I absolutely hear it. You know, you made a good argument. Palace fans are going to say that, but I think it generally was a good argument. I think it's kind of, you know, could he have gone straight to, if he can run to goal unopposed, then that is absolutely a dog's throw. I just thought two players come back, particularly Gino's. Anyway, so it's a I understand the owner or the joint owner of Steve Parish made a social media posting saying like this is crazy.
Want some consistency, didn't you?
Yeah, and we all do. You know, but so. But other than that,
then we get a storyline with Conor Gallagher coming on, Rob. I mean, Graham Potter's first Premier League game in charge, makes a couple of subs. Christian Pulisic comes on, makes a little run, plays it into Gallagher. Gallagher gets his goal, and we're obviously in the studio. Rebecca's a little disappointed to see her Palace team going down. We're obviously just watching the game and seeing how it's played out. My sense was, Rob, watching the winner and obviously Gallagher getting goal, no celebration, respect for Palace. I know he's got a lot of admiration for the Palace fans, but just got the sense, Rob, like some of these players might have a bigger chance under this new manager. It might be an opportunity where they'll get a bit more of a longer run. He's going to look at it through a different set of eyes. Whereas Tuchel looked like he'd almost made up his mind on certain players. I
agree. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you don't like to say his favourites, but he seemed to have players that he picked a lot and they're consistent. I think you're absolutely right. Now, we know, of course, the teams that are in Europe are going to be playing every midweek, right through to the World Cup, like weekend, midweek. So a lot of players are going to get plenty of time. But I think we've seen him before at Brighton, Rob, make some not strange, but unexpected decisions where players are playing in different spots. Remember McAllister? Was playing as a number 10, then all of a sudden he's
defensive midfield player.
And it worked out great. So he does make a lot of changes. Christian Pulisic came on and done himself no harm at all by getting involved and squeezing the ball out to Conor Gallagher. I think looking at this, and there's 2 games now, of course, 2 games of Potter, and I've looked very closely at both of them. I had my eyes more on this one than the Liverpool game in the 10 o'clock window. He's changing things all the time. I mean, we did a big tactics session, Rob. And of course, you know, I do the lineups and I kind of went through what I saw against Salzburg for Potter, and this is what he did. He played Raheem Sterling as left wing back. Game kicks off. I'm like, right. I mean, it looked like a 4-2-3-1. Sterling's on the right-hand side. So I'm like, oh, blimey. Like, that's different. Start the second half. He actually played that way. And then he switched again to a back 4. I mean, he's going to, and that's the nature of him anyway. But with a new team, new players, it's going to take him a few weeks, I think, to figure out the best formation for this group, the options that he's got. But I think there's one difference, Rob, which is maybe more important than any of this stuff. I see more of a determination for players at Chelsea to get in the box, to get the ball forward, to get in behind, than definitely from Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel's was more controlling and slower and back and across, and we've got to find our way through. How many times did they not score? And how many times did people complain about the attacking players? Lukaku,
not getting enough numbers.
Service.
Havertz,
Ziyech,
Werner,
all of them. Werner. This it's early yet, but I feel like there's more of a desire to make things happen, which I think is going to help Chelsea. I'm excited to see how this is going to evolve because a smart guy with a ton of good players in the squad, I think it's going to be good. But this little initial period of different systems and different players, that might last a few weeks. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Graham Potter knows as Chelsea manager, you know, things have to, you still have to be winning games as you're learning and getting things right. So that's good that he got the win and they want to get to the top 4. And obviously address Champions League, which has not gone so well so far. We had another game today. We had Aston Villa going to Leeds, Rob. It was a game that was marred by a sending off early in the second half. Sinisterra got sent off for 2 yellow cards. A bit foolish, really, with a bit of a trip on the first one. Then he doesn't allow a free kick, puts his foot up. A little bit of an experience. It's one of them where it's a bit harsh, and you'd like the referee to be able to have a word with him, but by letter of the law, he got it right. So Leeds down to 10 men for virtually this second half. Villa continued to push forward with Coutinho, with Bailey, with Watkins as a front 3. Had plenty of shots on goal. I think plenty of shots. I think it was like 17 shots But not enough. Not enough.
Real good looks.
Well, but they did have 2 or 3 really good looks. Ollie Watkins had,
I thought 2, what I would say.
One first half he went through, got blocked by the goalkeeper. Second half he went through on the inside right. And the one that came off the post.
Oh, yeah. True.
I mean, I don't know how hard that was. But I just thought that Steven Gerrard should have done a little more, a little earlier, to try and take advantage of having a man extra.
Man.
And Danny Ings sat on the bench. He came on, I think, with about 10 minutes to go or something.
Yeah, they had a bit of a go, didn't they?
I don't know whether he should have come on a little earlier.
Yeah, Ramsey went off, didn't he?
Yeah, Ramsey is kind of a goal threat for midfield. And he's continued to go with Douglas Luiz, who came into the side for Kamara and John McGinn. 3 similar-ish players.
Yeah.
I think that's a position that he could have. Okay, one of those guys come off.
Yeah.
Maybe McGinn. I know he's captain.
Yeah, but it's about winning the game, isn't it?
And you have Ramsey to get in the box.
Yeah.
You've got McGinn to back things up. And you've only got one Patrick Bamford who's not really fit against 2 centre backs.
And
Triangle
really
around him.
Really
ask a lot more questions.
So a little bit.
That's my only criticism. I understand there's injuries, and it was great, Rob, because we had the opportunity to ask Steven Gerrard questions.
Yeah, he came
live.
It was brilliant.
He jumped on our show.
Yeah. And he talked about, the chances are not being taken. We saw a couple of shots of him on the sideline, didn't we, where he's a bit frustrated that Watkins hasn't scored. I talked to him, Rob, about, they've had some defensive issues, and he talked, interesting enough, how it's changed the way they've had to play a little bit. Not so much build out at the back, but
the best defender players are out.
2 fullbacks both out in Dinier and Cash, who give you a little bit something
Quality,
in the forward area. So, it was really interesting for Sebi just to say, and just got a sense that he's frustrated. He talked about his forwards will be on the coach going home, and they'll all be thinking, probably should have got a goal there today. So it's a point, listen, it's a point that goes to the tally, but I'm sure he would like to, having been against 10 men for most of the second half.
I think Leeds, from their side of things, first off, and Jesse March said it, it was I think he said something like it's a daft challenge or a daft play to get sent off. He's got to speak to Sinisterra.
Come on, do that. Could have cost us.
That's an important home game. Ellen Road. We're in decent fettle, and that makes it a really difficult game. I mean, he switched to 5-3-1. So he's still got the 5, still got the 3 protecting, and Villa couldn't find a way through. So well done, good character, good spirit.
Character. Remember, he was up on the commentary box, wasn't he? Because he was banned from touchline. So decent points. He'll move on. Good for him to get Rodrigo and Bamford actually back on the pitch, and another week's training for them. That'll make a difference.
Most of their players are fit now.
Yeah,
I think it's only Stuart Dallas really that's out. Others are back, which is good news for him. The more options he's got, the better. But I like the way they played. I like the way they got into it.
Well, the results, my friend. Fulham 1, Newcastle 4. It's probably the first real bad day for Fulham. Nathaniel Chalobah got sent off first 5 minutes for a challenge on Longstaff. That was ridiculous. It was his first start for Fulham. It was nasty. It was reckless. It was foolish, and it put his team in trouble. Because of that, Newcastle went on and got goals with Callum Wilson, Miguel Almiron, Longstaff in the first half, and then got a fourth in the second through Almiron as well. Fulham also, a bad day. Alexander Mitrovic went to ground and came off with an injury. There was no contact around him. He talked to the medical staff. He did walk off the pitch. It's okay to have a bad day and lose 4. It's not okay if that Mitrovic is out for any length of time. And I'm sure Fulham fans are hoping that he's going to be okay, and it was just a precaution that he came off.
Yeah, I think any time you see him come off, they all know the importance that he is to the team. They've been one of the stories, Rob, haven't they?
Yeah,
they've been
absolutely.
After 6, 7 games, they've been one of the stories. To be where they are, I think coming into this weekend,
they were seventh before the weekend. They now dropped down to 8. Newcastle go above.
So they got loads of breathing room. It's all good, but they need him fit, and they need to. That's not good. The red card, of course, doesn't help. I'm going to jump to my underappreciated player of the week, and it's Miguel Almiron.
Miggy.
Now I know
Miggy.
it's a simple and easy pick. He scores 3 goals, he gets a hat trick. But first off, the first goal, wow. If anybody hasn't seen it, have a little look.
2 goals.
He got 2?
Yeah, he got 2. The hat trick was, remember, he was offside, wasn't he?
Oh, I thought he got 3.
Callum Wilson won, Longstaff won, Miguel.
Sorry.
Yeah, the third one, he got ruled out for offside.
Yeah.
Is he still the underappreciated?
He's still underappreciated. But the first goal with his left foot, I mean, if somebody else scores that, we're going crazy about it. I don't think we made enough of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't my highlight. That's why I got it wrong. It was your highlight.
Yeah, and I made a big thing of it by saying the way he, outside of his left foot bent every time.
But not just the goals. Yeah. Like I didn't expect him to be an important part of Eddie Howe's Newcastle. I think we thought he might be on the way out.
Yeah.
But he stepped up. I think that the fans love him. They sing songs. There's all banners in the
he's always worked incredibly hard, up and down the pitch. But I think that somebody once labelled him like a headless chicken, Rob. And you know how football thing. Yeah, he's a bit of a headless chicken. No production, no goals, no things. Yeah. Starting to give that now, Robin. We set Maximin out with Isak out this time. They've needed players who can come in and do a job.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a little bit like me, right? I was at a team that signed a load of big-time players, and I'm like, oh, Mustoe's he's not going to stay in a team, and I found a way to stay in a team. He's doing it.
Yeah.
Almiron's finding a way to be an important part, particularly in a team that's bringing in tons of attacking players as well.
Got a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, so fair play to him, and a player that we haven't really talked about that much.
No,
we know he's a star in Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
He comes to Newcastle, starts off really well, then went through a period of not much going on.
There was, so many games, no goals, no assists. It was that kind of stuff, wasn't it? So,
he's gone again.
Credibility, yes. Well done, and well done to Eddie Howe, because he's obviously seen something. Yeah. We've seen it with Joe Ellington now. We've seen it with Almiron. You know, they've been at our football club with other managers and not really looked the part. So good shout, Miguel Almiron, a little mention from Mustoe there. Southampton 1, Everton 2, Rob. I think we both felt this was a really important win for Frank, because we've both been saying that, you know, we kind of like where he had. He's been managing a bit under pressure. Now he's got a chance to maybe get a few results. They went 1-0 down, didn't they? Rebo scored for Southampton. 1-0 down, I'm thinking, this could be not good for Frank. Yeah. And then Conor Coady manages to get a goal in the 6-yard box. And our friend Dwight McNeil gets his first goal since he's moved to Everton, and they get a great 2-1 win. And I think we, like most general people who enjoy football we like to kind of see Frank. Come on now, Frank. Can you put a little run together now?
I know. I'm going to enjoy him not being under crazy pressure.
Yeah.
At Chelsea, towards the end, he was under crazy pressure. Yeah. You know, last season, trying to keep the team
it must
up,
be hard to manage under those circumstances, where you're just thinking about not losing.
Everything's
all
emergency,
the time.
isn't it? Everything.
Yeah.
And I like how he's been talking, and like you said, he's got to learn from these experiences, and it does take reps and seasons and decisions that he makes in the market, and of course on the match day. And fair play. I mean, if this isn't the best example of get a strong defensive partnership.
Yeah. Tarkowski and Coady, second best defensive thing in the league I was reading or something like that?
It changes everything.
Yeah.
Changes everything.
Yeah, they've conceded 7 goals, Rob.
Yeah. Their foundation now is so much different. I mean, that's really, really good. Yeah. And then that gives everybody else confidence. Yeah. They can go forward and attack, not knowing that. You know, I'm not going to mention the names, but other players that's been there have been a little shaky defensively, own goals and giving the ball away and tripping over on the ball.
Bad mistakes and penalties.
That's made a massive difference as well. So fair play. Another good result for Arsenal. Way into mid-table now. Another good result. Let's go through a few others, my friend. Let's leave the West Ham one.
Okay, let's come back to West Ham. Bournemouth 0, Brentford 0. And there wasn't great storylines in this one. Ivan Toney obviously didn't play for England. There was a bit of spotlight on him, and obviously he's got to score goals to keep in that England fold. But there was an incident in that game, Rob, and I know you kept your eye on it, and we talked about it a couple of times during the highlights of games. There was a challenge from Ben Mee, I think it was.
No, it was Christopher.
Was it Christopher Ayer?
Ayer.
Oh, okay.
In the box,
it came sliding across. It was like, you know,
Zamora
slid and misses the ball. Zamora hits him, trying to jump over him. I think there's a contact. He goes down in the penalty box. VAR looks at it and decides that if they're going to back the referee, no decision, no penalty.
No. They said, "Well, ref,
come and have a look at it.
We think this is a foul." The ref goes, "He's a young one." I can't think of his name
he didn't give no decision.
I know, he went over,
yeah.
and we always, I mean, like, well, yeah, that's obviously a foul.
He looks.
He went over there. I'm like, blimmin' heck, he ain't going to give it, and he didn't give it. One of those rare occasions
where he goes to the.
He said no call. They said, "Go over and take a look. You made a clear error." No, I didn't actually.
So did Ayer get any of the ball in that situation?
It's funny because I mean, I'm looking at it like, am I missing something here? Like he slid across. He doesn't get the ball initially, and then he goes right through the player. The player has to jump over the top. Yeah. Now, there was an angle on social media I saw yesterday from behind, and I think it was from, I think it was, I can't remember where it's from now, but a reputable source linked to the club, and it said, what a tackle. And actually, he slides all the way across, and he does end up getting some ball, but not before he goes through the player. So I still think it was a penalty.
I think I saw that where he slides, and eventually after he's taken the lead out, someone catches the ball and goes out. Yeah. That's not okay.
No, it's not. So that was a bit...
And Gary O'Neill, I saw him talking to the fourth official, because obviously in his situation... Possibly, you know,
that's a big call.
That's a big loss for them if they don't get.
That was the main talking point in that game. Yeah, and ended, of course, 0-0. Is this the last one now? The West Ham game, Rob?
Yeah. Let's get to West Ham, because West Ham Wolves, two teams who hadn't scored many goals, only 3 goals each, lowest scorers, joint lowest scorers in Premier League before the game. A little bit of pressure on both managers in some respects. West Ham were looking to get a win at home. Wolves looking to get some form, score goals. West Ham hadn't scored a goal in the first half of a Premier League game. Wolves hadn't scored in the second half. So it was one of those where I think there ain't going to be too many games. Diego Costa was on the bench for Wolves, so that kind of sets up that at some point he's going to come onto the pitch. But it was West Ham who got the win. First goal for Gianluca Scamacca. We're both looking forward to him. Great strike. First Premier League goal of the season for Jared Bowen. Got 12 last season and 10 assists. And I thought he was a bit of a spark. Looked more like the Bowen that we've been used to for West Ham. And I thought West Ham, I think you made a really good point in terms of, I just felt like they believed in the processes of the manager, and they were a bit like the West Ham we knew. Wolves, not so sure. Didn't quite. I mean, they're always technical. They always have good possession, but it's a bit like, what else?
Yeah, they're lacking the striker, and Bruno Lage talked about it so many times in his press conference, like, we lack a striker, we need somebody up there. Now, Diego Costa did come on. We expect him to come on a little early. He's been at the club 3 weeks. I mean, fitness. And I know that you get more.
And let's not be personal over critical. He doesn't look in great shape, Rob, for somebody who's trained for 3 weeks. I've got to be honest. You know, if I'm doing 3 weeks of training now, I'm getting myself in reasonable shape, and I've probably got 45 minutes in my legs.
Yeah, well, he came on. I mean, they looked better when he came on, but
they did look better.
I like West Ham. They were coming from a grinding position, and they got better and better. They get the goals, and that's the way to get out of it. You know, they're out of it now with a 2-0 victory. The guys you want to score did score, and to go up to date, we've recently found out in the last couple of hours that Bruno Lage has been fired from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Remember last year they finished 10th. Yeah. They were kind of in and around the top 6.
Yeah, they dropped out, didn't they?
For a long period of time. Really liked what he did last year. A lot of money spent in the summer. Yeah. I just feel, and I seem to feel this every time there's a firing, it's a bit early. You've got Diego Costa.
You are a bit early, man.
You've got the new signing, Kalajdzic, that's out with is it a cruciate? He's got a season-long or Achilles. He's got a really bad injury. He's out. You know that Raul Jimenez is out with a groin problem. He doesn't really know when he's going to come back. That's 2 strikers. And then you've got Diego Costa to come in, who's just arrived. He's played like half an hour. I mean, isn't that enough reason, Rob, to say, you know what, you're right, Bruno, let's hang fire. Let's see how Costa does. Let's see if you can find a way. But he's gone.
So a couple of things just to report on that. And you're right, but you know, our Premier League insider David Ornstein, who come on the show, before the game even said, this could be a case of when and not if something's happening. Yeah, he did, So he was talking as though that was happening. Interesting, again, listening to a couple of radio shows last night. Heard a couple of things, Rob, that just went to me. Boom, alarm bells, Bruno's bang in trouble. First of all, a bit of fan unrest. Apparently after the game, only 5 players went over to the travelling fans. There was fans who travelled down to London. A few of the Wolves fans thinking, like, that shouldn't happen, whether the manager should make sure they go or whatever. So fans unrest. Second thing I hear, and again, sometimes tittle-tackle and you're picking things up, dressing room unrest. A few players not happy with that. Again, we know that, and player pound, blah, blah.
And also media can stir that stuff.
Yeah, but once you hear fan unrest, dressing room unrest, ownership group that are looking for someone, and David Ornstein telling me it's a when and not if.
And the bottom 3 position.
Bottom 3 position, bye-bye Bruno. Bye-bye Bruno. I thought it was inevitable.
Do you feel for
him? I feel for the guy. He played good football. I liked the way he talked about the game. Yeah. His football is good possession without enough threat, but he's lost Jimenez, had a horrendous head injury. It's changed his whole outlook. Yeah. You know, he's had Neto injured with bad injuries, a beautiful, brilliant play. Got an injury again yesterday. He's got Costa in. Can you get him fit? You know, can he start scoring for? So there's lots of reasons why, but there's a couple of pillars when fans get unhappy, when the dressing room's got unrest, when the owners sniff that and they're starting to look around. I think you're banging trouble.
And the owner spends a lot of money on new players
in the summer.
Yeah,
and we're not.
Nunes, this new midfield player that came in.
Yeah.
From Sporting, I think it was. You know,
you drop into the bottom three.
So
yeah, and by the way, nobody will take that job for a week because you're away at Chelsea next week. I'll leave that for a week and then we'll come in after that.
An action-filled and a story-filled weekend as ever, my friend.
Always. So on a weekend of derbies when Manchester's blue, North London's red, and Liverpool are a pale shadow of the team that challenged for and won titles recently. Look out for our next podcast. That's on Thursday, the 5th of October, when we'll look back at match round 3 of the Champions League. A big England versus Scotland tie as Liverpool play Rangers. Eintracht Frankfurt play Spurs on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, Chelsea at home to the mighty AC Milan. Man City host Copenhagen. But for now, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe. Together with the two Robbies, thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night for me.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.